Hey everybody, it's Sabrina and welcome back to my channel. Do you remember these reading journal videos? It feels like it has been forever since I have shared one, since I have focused so much on October Daily. So these books are all the way from back in June. This one is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a You-Know-What, and it is a kind of self-help nonfiction book. And, it's one of those books where you can take what you need and then leave the rest, or leave all of it and just listen to it. But I know I've said it a few times, I am thoroughly enjoying listening to such a wide range of nonfiction books. I used a really wet ink, and that's why you saw me kind of fanning the page before I started to write. So the synopsis is the author comes from a standpoint of saying, forget positivity and be honest that sometimes life is hard. Sometimes life is just, poop, for lack of a better word. And we have to be equipped to deal with the challenges. Manson, the author, says that we all have a finite amount of things to really care about. And so we have to figure out what really matters. And we all need to embrace every facet of ourselves, our fears, limitations, circumstances, and uncertainties. And when we do this, that's when we lean into the subtle art of not giving, a flying whatever. And I put for my thoughts that I truly love this book. And I kind of believe in that as I get older, I believe that you really can only care about so much and you have so little time, and you can only put your time and your thoughts and your caring into what you have time for. Like, it's finite. And so I really enjoyed this book and found it very insightful, and I loved his kind of sense of humor towards life, I guess you could say. So I loved the book, and one of the quotes I put is, "Who you are is defined by what you're willing to struggle for." And then another one is, don't just sit there, do something, find the answers. So loved this book. It was great. And I put 5-star rating, book 68 out of 110. And then, like you saw, I just decorated the spread with just a few messy stamps to call it done. I know I've said it before, but I'm behind on my reading journal, and I knew going into this, endeavor of trying to make a review for every single book, it was going to be difficult. How difficult? I don't think that I knew that part. Okay, so moving on to the second book, it is Darling Girls by Sally Hempworth. It was my first audiobook of the summer, and it was fantastic. Definitely my new favorite book of hers. I absolutely loved it. I'm glad I listened to it on audio. I had blue washi tape, so I of course used that. I had a clear sticker in my sticker stash that says sometimes family is just hard. I think I was going to use this sticker for a different book, and so I wound up not using it, and I had this sticker, so that worked out perfect. I of course went with some waves because, the pool and the house, it's a whole thing. And I added in some yellow as well to pair with the cover. So it just works out really nice. And I wound up with a little bit of space after the sticker and the waves, so I might do a quote later on. It just took me a while to kind of figure out what I want to put there. And now when I do my synopsis and my thoughts, it's going to kind of be a combination of both of those, and I don't think that I have any spoilers. I went ahead and did the genre, thriller, suspense. My rating was more like 4.25, and then book 71 out of 110. Okay, so this like I said, is my favorite book from her so far, and I was enthralled from the beginning. There's 3 girls, Jessica, Nora, and Alicia, who all needed a foster home. Miss Fairchild provides the home for all 3 girls, and the childhood she provides them isn't happy. Their childhood is full of verbal, mental, and emotional abuse. Fairchild is manipulative, cruel, and rules that never stay the same, which complicates things even further. One night, all the girls escape and vow to never return. Years later, they receive a phone call that a dead body has been found in their foster home. Everything these girls have been through will resurface, and they will need each other in more ways than one, because yes, they're bonded as sisters, but now, they really have to come together. And I think this is a powerful book on the bond of sisters, what love means, and how trauma can really shape us. So I thoroughly loved it. And, seeing these girls all grown up, because that's where they narrate from, it really does illustrate the theme of trauma and how it shapes each child in the same situation differently. So very good book. Some difficult topics that were covered, but like I said, I really loved it. Quote that I went with is, even after all these years, yearning for the love and attention of someone who couldn't give it to her was much more comfortable than actually receiving it. So it's kind of a powerful quote and sums up a lot of what went on in the book. So that is Sally Hempworth, Darling Girls. Definitely recommend that book. Now, out of all three of these books, I would have to say the most different was this book. And probably my favorite out of all three is this one. It's just amazing. I was not expecting this book to be as amazing as it was, but it was. It's called Annie Bought by Sierra Greer, and I'm just going with a mix of different circle stamps. I found one that said on my mind, and Annie, the robot, is constantly thinking and winds up evolving her processes. I don't know if I want to say brain, but her processes beyond what she's supposed to be able to do. So I liked the on my mind. I also found a circle stamp that says always be curious, which is what Annie was. She was very curious and thinking, which is not something her type of robot should be able to do. And then I also have just a dot circle, and then a circle that kind of looked like a cross between a gear and a donut. But I'm going to leave, I don't know, more maybe a bolt or something. Either way, it looked robot-ish, so I'm just going to go with that. I also added in a stamp that said here down at the bottom. I felt like that worked because, I don't know, I felt like it worked. And once I get all these stamps in varying shades of pink, that's when I will go ahead and start on kind of my review synopsis. I kind of combined both of them because I did a review back when I first read this book in June, and it's a sci-fi book, obviously, but I think it's also considered a romance, which is weird. I would not consider it a romance at all. I mean, it has romance aspects, but it's abusive. We will get to that. So the quotes is, you want to know danger? Try living with a man who creates you just so he can eat your soul. I mean, whew, that says a lot about what's going on in this book. And then the next one is, he doesn't own what's inside of you. Nobody owns that but you. And because Annie goes through a lot of transformation as she continues to think and process about different things. I think I'm going to add a quote at the end because I have a little more space, but for now I'm going to the review. So I wasn't sure what to expect from this book. I knew everybody was talking about it, but again, I don't read a lot of sci-fi. But this book completely blew me away. I could not stop reading it. It is a short book. And even though the book was incredible, there was parts that made me uncomfortable. There's a lot of trigger warnings that come with this book, so just be aware of that. It's a fascinating look at a robot created as companions, or, a sex companion, basically, and the robot becomes more. Annie, the robot, was created to be Doug's companion. Over time, though, she starts to evolve. And in this world, the robots look just like humans and feel just like humans. So that was an interesting aspect. This book examines what it means to be your own person, abusive relationships, what it means to be a woman, and complex emotions. And it really got inside of Annie's mind like so much that I felt her hurt, and I felt that feeling of her being trapped in that apartment and wanting so much more with her life. So it was written really well to make the reader, me, to feel that. But the abuse was a lot, but Annie had a lot of strength and she really endured so much. And I loved it. And I loved seeing Annie's growth. I loved seeing her come into her own and figuring out what she wants in life, despite the fact that she's a robot, because that's the other thing, you know, she's growing and thinking, but, you know, she's a robot. Is she supposed to do this? So she's, you know, it's a very interesting book. So the last quote I picked was, "Personality, she learns, is the combination of how a person changes and remains consistent over time." Another really perfect quote to kind of sum up the book. So those are my 3 books for June. And then next week, I am going to share some more books. I think The Guncle Abroad and Paradise Problem. So these are my 3 books, and I've loved putting them together and sharing them with you. I hope you guys continue to enjoy my reading journals. I appreciate it. So to finish up the Annie bot, I just put a 5-star rating. Obviously, it's a sci-fi, and then book 72. And I even highlighted a few of the words in my review. Sometimes I feel like that's necessary with more powerful books, I guess. And then I'm just going to show you real quick all of them. I hope you enjoyed, and thanks so much for watching. Bye.